Dream of the Red Chamber, Chapter 61.
When you think about the collapse of a great dynasty, you picture these huge dramatic moments, right?
Oh, absolutely. Armies, palaces on fire, all that cinematic stuff. The history book version.
Exactly. But today, we're looking at a collapse that starts, well, somewhere else entirely.
Yeah.
We're not on a battlefield. We're in a kitchen in the middle of a screaming match.
Over a bowl of steamed eggs.
Over a bowl of steamed eggs. It sounds so trivial.
It does, but that's what's so brilliant about this section from Dream of the Red Chamber. We're looking at chapter 61. And it takes this tiny, tiny thing, an egg, and uses it to show you how this massive, glittering social structure is just, completely rotting from the inside out.
It really is like Kitchen Confidential meets a stock market crash.
That's surprisingly accurate. I like that.
So let's set the stage for everyone. The main character in this little drama is a woman named Mrs. Liu.
Right. She's the head of the kitchen for the Grandview Garden.
And her job is to feed this small army of maids and servants every single day. And honestly, she just sounds exhausted.
She's beyond exhausted. She is in total survival mode. And the first sign of trouble isn't even about the food itself. It's just about her trying to get to work.
Right. So the scene opens. She's trying to walk to the garden gate to get to her kitchen, and she gets stopped.
And not by a guard.
No, by a child.
Yeah.
A little servant boy who's watching the gate.
And this is not some playful halt who goes there kind of thing.
Right.
This is a straight up shakedown. This kid is all business.
A shakedown. He literally blocks her path and says, if you want in, you have to go steal me some apricots.
It's a toll booth. He's using the one tiny bit of power he has, control over a door, to extract a bribe. It's so cynical.
And the threat he makes is even worse. It's not just, I won't let you in now.
No, it's way more strategic. He says, look, if you don't get me that fruit, the next time you're stuck outside late at night and you need to buy oil or wine,
I just won't open the door for you.
I'll leave you stranded.
Yeah.
He's threatening to sabotage her entire job if she doesn't pay him off.
That is surprisingly vicious for a kid. Pay me in stolen fruit or I ruin your workflow.
Exactly. And this just sets Mrs. Liu off. She explodes, but her rant tells us so much about the economy of the garden. She starts talking about how scarce fruit is.
She uses this incredible image. She says everyone is staring at the fruit trees like a lychee.
A shrike. It's a predatory bird. It's known for impaling its prey on thorns.
That is such a dark way to describe a garden. People aren't admiring the beauty. They're like predators waiting to pounce on the fruit.
It shows the desperation. It's a total scarcity mindset. Everyone is watching everyone else, thinking about what they can take.
And she tells them a story to prove it right. The bee incident.
Yes, this part is amazing. She says she was walking under a plum tree and a bee flew in her face.
So she just waves her hand to swat it away. Normal reaction.
A completely normal reaction. But the boy's aunt sees her do this from a distance, and because the atmosphere is so toxic, so paranoid,
She assumes she's stealing.
she starts screaming at her, accusing her of stealing plums before they've even been offered to Buddha or to the masters.
You can't even wave your hand near a tree without being accused of theft. It's a surveillance state.
Total paranoia. And Mrs. Liu is just furious about it. This is when she drops this proverb that I think just perfectly sums up her entire worldview.
Okay, what is it?
She says, borrowing grain from a warehouse rat and a cronan for the one guarding, but plenty for the one flying.
Wow. Let's unpack that a little. None for the one guarding.
That's her. She's the warehouse rat. She guards the food all day. She's right next to it. She cooks it, but she feels like she gets none of it.
And plenty for the one flying.
Those are the masters or the favorites who just swoop in and take whatever they want. It's pure resentment about the distribution of wealth.
So she's having this, philosophical crisis about the alienation of labor. Does the gatekeeper boy care?
Not even a little bit. He hits her right back with a dose of reality. He brings up her daughter, Wooger. He says, don't give me that sob story. I know your daughter is about to get a good job.
He has inside information.
He does. It's called Nikayan Inside Connections. The servants have their own spy network. He's basically telling her, don't play the victim. You're part of this system too. You're working it just like I am.
So she finally gets past him, gets into her kitchen, and that's when the real trouble starts.
Enter Lianhua.
And Lianhua is a maid, but not just any maid. The hierarchy here is key.
It is everything. She works for Siki, who is the head maid for one of the young mistresses, Miss Ying Chun.
So we're a few rungs down the ladder. A maid for a maid for a master.
Right. But she walks in with the entitlement of a senior vice president. She demands a bowl of steamed eggs.
And she's specific about it, too. She wants them tender.
Tender, not just I need food, but prepare this dish to my exact specifications.
And Mrs. Liu just shuts her down. Flat out no.
But she doesn't just say no, she gives her an economics lecture. She starts quoting inflation figures.
She does. She says eggs are 10 cash each right now. 10.
And she frames it as this huge luxury item. She tells this story about how yesterday they needed to send a delivery to some relatives, and it took 4 or 5 professional buyers.
Just to find 2,000 eggs.
And they were struggling to find them. The point is, the supply chain is broken. Even if you have money, the goods just aren't there anymore.
So to Mrs. Liu, Lianhua asking for a casual bowl of eggs is like she's asking for a bar of gold.
She's saying, read the room, we are in a crisis.
But Lianhua doesn't buy it for a second.
No, she starts snooping around the kitchen.
Yeah.
And she lifts the lid off a food box and
Boom, busted.
10 eggs sitting right there.
You could just feel the tension spike. Lianhua's like, aha, I knew it. You're a hoarder.
And now it's a standoff. Mrs. Lufella has to defend herself. She says, those aren't for you. Those are emergency eggs.
Emergency eggs.
Yeah, for toppings like garnish, or for an unexpected request from one of the real masters, not for a maid.
And this is what triggers her big rant. She goes on the attack.
She does. She calls the maids out for being completely out of touch. And she uses this incredible term, second-layer masters.
I love that. Second-layer masters. It's so good.
It's just scathing. She's telling Lianhua, you are a servant, just like me. But because you work in the deep house, you act like you are one of the masters.
Right. She says, water comes when you reach out your hand.
Exactly. They're completely sheltered. They have no idea how the market works, that prices are high, that things are scarce.
She even says there was a year they couldn't even get grassroots to eat.
She thinks they're spoiled. She says they get bored of eating fat chickens and ducks, so they invent these cravings for little snacks, like eggs and tofu, just to change their palates.
It's a direct critique of the hierarchy within the servant class itself. The maids closest to power start acting powerful themselves.
They're LARPing as aristocrats.
So Mrs. Liu is trying to take the moral high ground. She's the responsible manager protecting the household from these entitled children.
That's her argument. She's the grown-up in the room.
Lianhua has the receipts.
Oh, she absolutely does. And this is where the argument pivots from economics to something much more personal.
Favoritism.
Blatant favoritism. Lianhua brings up the fried gluten incident.
A classic kitchen scandal. Tell us about it.
She reminds Mrs. Liu that just a few days ago, a different maid, Little Yang, came asking for a snack.
Okay, and the politics here matter. Who is Little Yang?
Little Yan is asking on behalf of a maid named Qingwen, and Qingwen is a maid for Baiyu.
Baiyu, the golden child, the male heir, the star of the whole family.
The center of the universe.
No.
So Lianhua works for a minor master. Little Yan works for the most important one.
And Lianhua describes how Mrs. Liu treated Baiyu's maid.
And it is not a pretty picture.
Yeah.
She says Mrs. Liu was wagging her tail like a dog. She gives all the details. Mrs. Liu was offering her chicken, offering meat, being so incredibly helpful. And when Little Yan said no, just vegetarian gluten and make it with less oil, Mrs. Liu rushed to wash her hands and cooked it herself personally.
The contrast is just...
Wow.
But wow, for Baiyu's staff, it's concierge service. For Yingchun's staff, you get a lecture on market prices.
Lianhua calls her a hypocrite to her face. She says, you bully the weak and you suck up to the powerful.
And she's not wrong.
She's absolutely right. Mrs. Liu is playing politics. She is hoarding resources, yes, but she's deploying them strategically to the people who can help her or hurt her. It's corruption.
So Mrs. Liu is cornered. She's been caught hoarding and she's been caught playing favorites. How does she get out of this?
She goes back to the math. She tries to overwhelm them with numbers. It's the budget defense.
Budget defense. Okay.
She breaks it all down. She says, I have to feed 40 to 50 people a day. And listen to what she gets to do that.
Right.
2 chickens, 2 ducks, 10 jin of meat, that's about 13 pounds, and 1 string of cash for all the vegetables.
For 50 people, that does not sound like nearly enough.
It's barely enough for the standard meals. Her point is that the entire system is underfunded. She's saying, I can't even cover the basics. How can I handle all these special requests?
She wants to fix it with a water tablet. What is that?
It's a menu board. She wants a fixed schedule. Mondays this, Tuesdays that. No more custom orders.
She wants to use bureaucracy to stop the politics.
It's a shield. If it's on the board, she cooks it. If not, it's not her problem. But then she makes this really smart comparison between the good masters and the bad ones.
Right. She holds up Tanchen and Bochai as the ideal.
This was the most fascinating part for me. So Tanchen and Bochai are 2 of the young ladies. They wanted a simple dish, fried wolfberry sprouts.
An oil and salt stir fry, basically.
Very simple, but here's the key part. They sent $500 cash with their request.
Wait, they paid for their snack?
They did. And Mrs. Liu says she tried to return the money because, a handful of sprouts doesn't cost $500 cash, but they insisted she keep it.
Why would they do that?
They told her, "We know the kitchen has hidden costs. Oil, soy sauce, things get used up or pilfered. Keep the money to cover those little losses."
Wow. So they actually understand how the kitchen runs.
Yeah.
Get the squeeze she's in.
Yes. Mrs. Liu calls them understanding. They get it. They're essentially subsidizing the kitchen's broken budget to make sure things run smoothly. They're good managers.
And then she contrasts them with the villain of the story, Concubine Zhao.
The total opposite. Mrs. Liu complains that Concubine Zhao demands things all the time, never pays, and then on top of that complains that Mrs. Liu has it too easy.
So Mrs. Liu's whole argument comes down to, I can't afford to treat you all like your Tanshin if you're all acting like Concubine Zhao.
Exactly. She's saying, I have been subsidizing your snacks out of my own pocket and I am done. The precedent of paying for extras has been set and she's going to enforce it.
I have to be honest, looking at the source material for today,
It sounds kind of ridiculous, doesn't it? But in the world we're looking at today, an egg is never ever just an egg. It's a hand grenade.
so we are back in the Grandview Garden, and we're looking at a chain of events that feels just incredibly modern. We've got petty office politics, a toxic middle manager, and a witch hunt for a thief that leads to a massive miscarriage of justice.
Exactly. How systems fail. Specifically, how a hierarchy that runs on fear and, speed creates the perfect storm for innocent people to get crushed.
Okay, so take us to ground zero, this egg incident. Who kicks this whole thing off?
It starts with a real power player named Sichi. Now, she's a maid, but you can't let that title fool you. She serves one of the main misses, Ying Chun, and in this ecosystem, being close to a master gives you immense proxy power.
So she has clout.
Oh, absolutely. And she decides she wants to treat a bowl of steamed egg custard.
Which, in a house as wealthy as this, really shouldn't be a big deal.
You would think. She sends her junior maid, Lotus, down to the kitchen to order it, but she runs into Mrs. Liu, the head cook, and Mrs. Liu makes a classic management mistake.
What's that?
Instead of just making the dish, she starts complaining about the supply chain.
She gives her the we're out of budget speech.
Worse. She says eggs are scarce, they're expensive, and she basically tells Lotus, I can't just cater to every whim you girls have. It's a direct refusal.
And in a faith-based culture, that's not just a no. That's a huge insult.
It's an act of war. So Lotus goes back to report this, and she doesn't soften the blow at all.
Oh, she stirs the pot.
The text says she adds a speech of her own. She frames Mrs. Liu as insubordinate, not just unhelpful. So Sichi hears this, and she doesn't just get annoyed, she mobilizes.
Mobilizes. Over an egg.
It's a raid, a full-on raid. She gathers a squad of young maids and marches on the kitchen, and the details here are just fascinatingly violent.
What does she do?
She walks in, ignores any attempts to make peace, and she gives a command. Throw out all the vegetables and food in the cabinets, feed it to the dogs.
Wow. That is such a specific destructive flex. It's not about the egg anymore.
Not at all. It's about destroying the cook's workspace, her domain. The text uses this phrase, the maids scramble with 7 hands and 8 feet. It's a frenzy.
Just chaos.
Total chaos. They're tearing through everything. And Mrs. Liu just has to stand there and watch. She realizes way too late that by trying to save a few pennies on eggs, she's lost her entire kitchen.
This is the scorched earth policy.
And it sets the emotional temperature for everything that follows. The kitchen is terrified, Mrs. Liu is humiliated, and the whole place is tense. And it's into this exact environment that our protagonist walks.
So before we meet her, let's set the scene a bit more. What time of day is this?
It's twilight. And that is a crucial detail. The garden is a huge, sprawling complex, but it has very strict security. At night, the gates between the different courtyards are locked.
So if you're caught in the wrong place after dark, you're immediately a suspect.
You're automatically suspicious, yes.
So the kitchen is a mess, the sun is going down, the gates are closing.
Yeah.
Who walks into this trap?
Her name is Five, or Wooer, and she's actually Mrs. Liu's daughter.
The cook's daughter.
The cook's daughter. And she is the complete opposite of the chaos we just saw. She's sickly, she's quiet, usually just stays in her room, but she has a very specific errand to run.
What is she doing out?
She's carrying a packet of something called felling frost.
Okay, I saw this in the notes. What in the world is Fulling Frost? It sounds like a hipster dessert topping.
It's actually Tuckahoe Frost. It's a very high-end medicinal supplement, a white powder made from a fungus used for health and, your complexion.
So it's valuable.
Very. She got it as a gift from her uncle, and she wants to share half of it with her friend Fengwan, who lives in the main master's quarters.
So just to recap, she has a packet of unidentified white powder, and she's sneaking into the garden at twilight.
Flower shading and willow hiding, as the text puts it. She's trying to be invisible because the gates are about to lock. She manages to hand off the gift, but she's nervous. She turns to run home before curfew, and that is when her luck runs out.
Who does she run into?
The worst possible person, Mrs. Lin.
And Mrs. Lin is... She's basically head of personnel at Night Watch. Here's the context you need. The whole household is already in a panic because several valuable items have gone missing recently. Mrs. Lin is under immense pressure to catch a thief.
So she sees a girl running through the shadows.
Yep. She stops Five and asks, "I thought you were sick. What are you doing out here?" Now, if Five tells the truth, she might be okay. But she makes a fatal error. She panics.
She lies.
She lies. She says, "My mom sent me to deliver something she forgot."
Oh, why is that fatal?
Because Mrs. Lin is a good manager. She pays attention to details. She says, "I just saw your mother leave, and I locked the gate behind her myself. If she sent you, why didn't she tell me you were still inside?"
Instantly, red-handed. Mrs. Lin knows she's lying. And because Five is lying about why she's there, Mrs. Lin assumes the worst.
And then it gets worse, right?
It gets so much worse. Lotus shows up.
The maid who started the egg war.
The very same. She sees Five being grilled and decides to twist the knife. She tells Mrs. Lin, "Oh, you should definitely check the kitchen. I saw a suspicious bottle in there earlier."
So now Mrs. Lin has a lying suspect and a tip about hidden goods.
Exactly. They raid the kitchen again, and this time they find two things. They find the Fulling Frost packet, and they find a bottle of rose dew hidden in a cupboard.
Okay, now we know the frost is from her uncle.
Yeah.
And the notes say the dew was a gift from her friend.
Right. But you have to look at it from Mrs. Lin's perspective. You have a girl caught in a lie. You find a packet of white powder that looks just like the master's expensive supplements. And you find a bottle of rose dew, which matches the description of an item stolen from the mistress's room.
It looks like a smoking gun.
It looks like an open and shut case. Mrs. Lin doesn't care about the backstory. She has the loot, she has the thief, and she is ready to close the ticket on this.
Is she just being malicious here?
Yeah.
Or is she just trying to do her job?
That's the tragedy of it. She's operating on what we'd call confirmation bias. She needs to solve the theft of the rose dew to look good to the masters. Five is the path of least resistance.
It's not personal malice. It's just bureaucratic convenience.
Exactly. She's found a story that fits the facts, and she stops looking for any other explanation.
So Mrs. Lin drags Five away. Where does she take her?
She takes her up the chain of command. She tries to report to one of the young mistresses, Tanchun, but Tanchun is busy, and basically says, "Not my department, go see the second mistress."
That's Wang Shifeng, the CEO, effectively.
CEO, yes. And this is where the organizational lesson gets really dark. Shifeng is resting. She's tired. She hears the report. Caught a thief, found the stolen goods. She doesn't ask to see the girl. She doesn't ask for any evidence. She just issues a sentence.
What is it?
Give the mother 40 strokes of the heavy board and expel her. Give the daughter 40 strokes and sell her off.
Wait, 40 strokes? For a sick girl like Five, that could kill her.
Easily. And selling her off is slavery. Shifeng destroys 2 lives in less than 10 seconds without even opening her eyes.
Why? Is she just that cruel?
I don't think it's cruelty, I think it's efficiency. Shifeng manages by fear. To her, the truth of this one specific theft doesn't matter. What matters is sending a message.
The message being, if you steal, you are destroyed.
Right. She's maximizing deterrence, not justice.
It feels like the system is working exactly as it's designed to, but the result is a horror show.
That is precisely the point. Shifeng is a move fast and break things kind of leader. If a few innocent people get crushed in the gears, well, that's just the cost of doing business in a household of 400 people.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
So, is that it? Is Five just done for?
She would be, if not for Pinger.
Pinger is Shifeng's right-hand woman, her chief of staff.
Exactly. And she is the only person in this entire story who actually stops to think critically. When Mrs. Lin brings the order to be carried out, Five just throws herself at Pinger's feet, weeping, screaming that the rose dew was a gift.
And I'm guessing Mrs. Lin is just rolling her eyes at this point.
Mrs. Lin just wants it done. But Pinger pauses. She looks at the Fulling Frost, and she realizes something. This is a sealed packet. The masters haven't even opened their main supply yet.
So how could a kitchen maid steal something that hasn't even been opened?
It doesn't add up. It's a logical impossibility. And she looks at 5, this terrified, frail girl who just does not fit the profile of a daring cat burglar. Pinger realizes this girl is a scapegoat.
She gets it, but she can't just march in and tell Shifeng she's wrong, can she?
No, that would be suicide. Shifeng is the boss, and she's in a bad mood, so Pinger uses what I'd call administrative discretion.
How does that work?
She tells Mrs. Lin, look, the mistress is sleeping. We can't bother her with this tonight. Lock the girl up, and I will verify her story in the morning.
She buys time.
She stops the execution without publicly contradicting her boss. It is an absolute masterclass in using soft power. She knows if she wakes Shifeng up to argue, Shifeng might just double down to save face.
So she just defers it.
Pockets the problem until the temperature goes down, yeah.
That. She can't save 5 from spending the night in custody.
No. And this part of the reading was actually pretty hard to get through. 5 isn't sent to some comfortable cell. She's handed over to the night watch women.
And these aren't professional guards. They're just other servants.
Right. And here you see that crabs in a bucket mentality. These women are also low status. But instead of solidarity, they resent having to babysit a thief.
So they're cruel to her.
They spend the entire night mocking her, taunting her, saying, don't you dare die on our watch. We don't want the paperwork.
The text says she had no tea, no water, no bedding, just a sick girl crying on the floor while her coworkers laugh at her.
It shows that the cruelty doesn't just come from the top. It trickles down. When the system is harsh, like Shifeng's management style, the people at the bottom turn on each other. They find relief in seeing someone else suffer.
Because at least it's not them.
The scene shifts abruptly. Okay, imagine this. You're dropped into a huge, sprawling organization. We're talking Fortune 500 scale, but with the intensity of a really bad family feud.
Right.
A theft has occurred. Internal security is already cracking down, and innocent people are in custody. The sharks are circling. You've got opportunists using the chaos to plant evidence, to settle old scores.
It's a classic power vacuum. I mean, chaos is a ladder, right?
Exactly. And the pressure is on the lead investigator to just close the case. Now, but, and here's the catch, this investigator knows the obvious answer. The one that follows the letter of the law is going to cause a PR disaster. It'll destroy the reputation of one of the company's brightest rising stars.
Then what do you do?
What do you do? Do you follow policy or do you protect the people?
That sounds like a case study from, I don't know, a Harvard Business School seminar on crisis management. Or maybe a plot line from Succession.
It does, doesn't it?
This book is probably one of the best management manuals ever written.
Mm-hmm.
And this section we're looking at today is basically a masterclass in crisis management, in emotional intelligence, and what happens when policy crashes right into personnel.
We're getting into the art of management and mercy. We're going to unpack how a single domestic incident, the theft of some Rose Dew and Foulin Frost, it reveals these incredible power dynamics in the Jia household.
It's a microdrama that just exposes all the macro problems of the entire organization.
And we're going to focus on 2 characters in particular. Pinger, the really capable aide, who's basically the chief of staff, and Baiyu, the empathetic young master. So set the scene for us. Where does the source material actually pick up?
So we're dropped right into the middle of the fallout. A servant, Willow's wife, and her daughter, 5. They've been accused of theft. The whole house is in an uproar. It's morning. The investigation is on. And immediately you see the uglier side of, let's call it office politics.
Oh, yeah. This is the part that felt so modern to me. You have this group of people who have like a personal beef with Willow's wife.
Yeah.
And they see she's been accused. And instead of waiting for the truth, they just pounce.
They smell blood in the water.
Yeah.
These are, kitchen staff, other servants who felt slighted by her in the past. And they start bringing gifts to Pinger bribes, really trying to flatter her.
And just listing off all her supposed bad behavior.
Exactly. They're basically lobbying to have her fired and kicked out immediately.
It is so cynical. It's like, great, she's down. Let's make sure she stays down. It's a smear campaign disguised as helpful testimony. But okay, let's talk about Pinger's reaction here. She's the investigator. Does she just shut them down?
No, and that's the first lesson in management right there.
Right.
She doesn't shut them down, but she doesn't agree with them either. The text says she outwardly agreed to appease them. She takes the gifts, she nods along.
Isn't that a little, I don't know, corrupt, taking the gifts?
Well, the context is key. If she refuses the gifts and yells at them, She creates a whole second crisis. She makes enemies of the very staff she needs to manage.
Okay, good point.
So by just nodding along, she creates a smokescreen. She buys herself peace and quiet to conduct the actual objective investigation. She's managing the optics while she does the real work.
Smart. So while the vultures are circling, thinking they've won, Pinger is off finding the truth. She starts by tracing the rose dew, one of the items found on the daughter.
Right. She goes to Jiren Aroma, who is Bao Yu's chief maid, and this is where the chain of custody gets cleared up really fast. Aroma confirms the rose dew wasn't stolen at all. It was a gift.
What's the gift?
It went from a legitimate source to a maid named Fang Guan.
So Bao Yu actually has the dew. But when they ask him about it, things get complicated. But then he starts spiraling about the other item that was found, the Fooling Frost.
Yes, and this is a crucial distinction. The dew is cleared up. It was a gift. But the frost, that was actually stolen, or at least it was gotten illicitly. And Bao Yu realizes that if he admits the dew came from him, people are going to ask, okay, sure, but where did the Fooling Frost come from? It just opens up a whole new can of worms. Bao Yu is terrified that telling a partial truth will end up hurting innocent people in a totally different household.
He's overthinking it, but in a very kind way. He's trying to map out the blast radius of the truth.
Exactly. It's a risk assessment. So he asks Pinger to lie. He basically says, just say the dew came from Fang Guan and close the case.
Yeah.
But Pinger points out this massive hole in that plan. She says, that solves the dew, but what about the stuff missing from Lady Wang's rooms?
Right. Hey, we can't forget, there is an actual crime here. Things were stolen from the mistress, Lady Wang. And this is where the detective work pays off. Skybright Kingwin, she steps in. And she does not mince words.
No, she doesn't. Skybright is the whistleblower. She points a finger right at the most obvious suspect, Kaiyun.
And what's the motive?
Love. Or, maybe misplaced loyalty. Skybright suggests that Kaiyun, who serves Lady Wang, is stealing from her own boss to give gifts to her boyfriend, Huan.
Okay, we have to pause on Huan for a second. This is Bai Yu's half-brother.
Yes, and that relationship is toxic, to say the least. Huan is the son of the concubine Lady Zhao. He's jealous of Bai Yu, feels neglected, and he's always plotting.
So Skybright is suggesting Kaiyun is funneling goods from the main house to the quote-unquote rival faction within the family.
Precisely. And Pinger confirms she suspects this too. She says she questioned another maid, Jade Bracelet, who admitted things were missing. But Kaiyun has been aggressively denying it.
Not just denying it, gaslighting. Kaiyun was blaming Jade Bracelet for the loss to cover her own tracks.
Yes. Pinger calls it two people in a nest firing cannons. They're fighting so loudly the whole house knows about it.
So let's look at the board. Pinger knows Kaiyun is the thief. She knows the stolen goods went to Huan and Lady Zhao. Seems pretty straightforward. Catch the thief, turn them in, case closed.
In a Western legal system, yes. But in the Red Chamber and in many complex organizations, that is absolutely the wrong move. And this brings us to the core insight.
Ah, yes.
Pinger uses that famous Chinese idiom, tu shu ji qi. To hit the rat, one risks breaking the jade vase.
I love this metaphor. It's so visual. Let's break that down. Who is the rat and who is the vase?
The rat is the thief Kaiyun, and by extension her whole nest, which is Lady Zhao. They're the pests causing the problem. Annoying, dishonest, they're the rats.
And the vase. The precious object standing right next to the rat.
That is Tanshin, the third sister.
Wait, remind us of the family tree here. Tanshin is Lady Zhao's daughter.
Exactly, and that is the tragedy. Tanshin is brilliant. She's capable, dignified. She has actually run the household before. She's widely respected as a leader, arguably more competent than almost anyone else.
But her mother, Lady Zhao, is just a constant source of embarrassment.
It's like having a brilliant CEO whose parent is constantly getting arrested for petty crimes in the lobby.
That is a great analogy.
So Pinger's logic is this. If I expose Kaiyun and Lady Zhao as thieves, I am publicly humiliating Tanshin. Lady Zhao is her biological mother. If the mother is a thief, the daughter loses face.
So you're destroying the face of a key stakeholder just to catch a petty thief. Pinger asks herself, is catching this thief worth destabilizing Tanshin? The answer is no. She literally says, I can't bear to hurt a good person's dignity just to catch a rat.
It is such a nuanced calculation. It's strategic empathy. She is prioritizing the long-term stability of the whole management structure over the short-term satisfaction of justice.
And it's also about leverage, right? Tanshin is an ally. If Pinger humbles Tanshin, she weakens the administration of the house. It's just not worth the collateral damage.
Right. And remember, Pinger is the aide to Feng Ji, the manager. She knows Tanshin is one of the few people Feng Ji actually respects and maybe fears a little. Keeping Tanshin dignified keeps the house stable.
So, massive problem. They know who did it, but they can't say who did it. And they can't let Willow's wife take the fall because she's innocent. They need a third option.
Enter Bao Yu with the wildest solution imaginable. He just looks at Pinger and says, "I'll take the blame."
He volunteers to be the thief?
Yes, he says he'll claim he stole the items from Lady Wang just to scare the maids as a prank. And it solves everything instantly.
Well, yeah, if the young master took the stuff, it's not a crime, it's just mischief.
Exactly. No one gets fired, no one gets beaten, and most importantly, Tanshin's reputation is safe.
That's incredible. In a society so obsessed with hierarchy, you have the male heir willing to brand himself a thief just to save the servants and his sister from embarrassment.
It just highlights this stark contrast between Bao Yu and everyone else. Most people in this house, like the kitchen staff in the beginning, they're trying to climb up by stepping on other people. Bao Yu is willing to step down to lift others up. He just absorbs the family's dysfunction so others don't have to.
So, armed with this plan, Pinger calls in the suspects, Kai-Yun and Jade Bracelet. But she doesn't just tell them the plan, does she? She plays a little poker.
She tests them. This is good management. She bluffs. She tells them the thief has been found, but then she drops the hint. Bao Yu is taking the blame to protect a sister, meaning Kai-Yun, and to stop Tanshin from losing face.
She gives them a choice.
Let Bao Yu take the fall, and everyone stays quiet. Or she reports the truth to the strict manager, Feng Ji.
And this is where Kai-Yun's character just completely surprised me. I mean, up until now, she's a villain, stealing, lying, blaming others. But when she hears Bao Yu is willing to take the fall for her, she cracks.
The text says she felt shame and moral courage. She blushes. She admits everything. She says, "Yes, Lady Zhao begged me to steal for Huan." But then she does something totally unexpected.
She refuses to let Bao Yu take the blame.
Yes. She grows a conscience. She says, "I did it. I should suffer for it. I can't let an innocent person be wronged."
It complicates our view of her, doesn't it? She's a thief, sure, but she has integrity. She's loyal to a fault to Lady Zhao, but she's not willing to let Bao Yu suffer for her actions. She insists on turning herself in.
But the management team, Pinger and Aroma, they intervene. They're basically like, no, you are missing the point entirely.
Right.
This is the difference between moral righteousness and strategic outcome. They have to explain to her that her confession is actually the worst outcome for the system.
Because if she confesses, Lady Zhao gets dragged in.
And if Lady Zhao gets dragged in, Tanshin gets hurt. The cleanest solution, bizarrely, is the lie.
They essentially have to bully her into accepting Bao Yu's sacrifice. They convince her that the only way to protect Tanshin is to let Bao Yu lie, and she reluctantly agrees.
It's a group decision to embrace a total fabrication. It really makes you question the nature of truth in a big organization. Sometimes the truth is just too expensive.
So the cover-up is settled. But before Pinger can close the file, she has to deal with the other side of this. The opportunistic sharks in the kitchen we talked about.
Oh, right. Mrs. Lin. We can't forget Mrs. Lin. While all this detective work was happening, Mrs. Lin, the wife of a powerful manager, was making moves.
She wasted no time. As soon as Willow's wife was accused, Mrs. Lin detains her and immediately brings in a replacement cook.
And this isn't just some random staffing change, it's classic nepotism. Mrs. Lin pitches this new woman as clean and cautious. But Jade Bracelet points out the truth. The new cook is the aunt of another maid. It's all connected.
So Mrs. Lin is just trying to plant her own ally in a lucrative kitchen job.
It's a power grab, disguised as a crisis response. But Pinger shuts it down cold.
So satisfying.
It really is. Pinger just walks out and says, "Case closed. Bao Yu did it. Willow's wife is innocent."
And Mrs. Lin is just left standing there.
Well, Mrs. Lin tries to argue. She says, "But I already brought the new woman in. Just let her stay." Pinger completely ignores it, sends the new cook away immediately. She just unravels Mrs. Lin's entire scheme with one sentence.
And that's a crucial detail. If Pinger had only been lenient with the thief, she might have looked soft. But by ruthlessly cutting out the nepotism hire, she shows she's still in control.
Exactly. She uses mercy for the vulnerable Kai-Yun, Tanshin, but she uses the iron fist for the greedy for Mrs. Lin.
So the internal investigation is done, the cover-up is agreed upon, the opportunists are defeated, but now comes the hardest part.
Reporting to the boss.
Reporting to the boss. Pinger has to sell this lie to Feng Ji.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Feng Ji is not easily fooled. She's the Iron Lady of the house. She manages finances, discipline, Everything.
Every
So when Pinger comes in and says, oh, it was just a prank, Bao Yu stole the items to tease the maids, Feng Ji does not buy it for a second.
She has that great line, the fly doesn't bite the seamless egg. She knows Bao Yu is covering for someone, and her reaction is, honestly, it's terrifying.
It really is. Feng Ji proposes a scorched earth policy. She wants to round up all maids in Lady Wang's house, not just the suspects, everyone.
And her method of interrogation.
She wants to make them kneel on broken porcelain magnetic tiles in the hot sun and starve them until someone confesses.
That is brutal. Kneeling on broken shards in the sun, that's torture.
It's the iron fist approach. Feng Ji believes order is maintained through fear and absolute truth. If there's a thief, you torture everyone until the thief breaks. She doesn't care about face or vases. She cares about compliance.
So this is the ultimate test for Pinger. She can't say Bao Yu is lying, because that ruins the plan and hurts Tanshan, but she can't let Feng Ji torture the staff. So how does she talk her out of this?
This is Pinger's managing up masterclass. And you have to notice what she doesn't do. She doesn't argue about the facts of the case. She doesn't say torture is wrong in some moral sense.
She pivots.
She pivots to something Feng Ji cares about more, her health and her destiny.
She plays the karma card.
Precisely. She reminds Feng Ji, you've been sick, you're overworking yourself, and then she brings up something incredibly painful and personal. Feng Ji recently had a miscarriage. She lost a male heir at 6 or 7 months.
Oh, wow. That's heavy. She uses that tragedy as leverage.
She does, but so gently. Pinger suggests that maybe the miscarriage was caused by overworking and getting angry. She basically asks, is catching a petty thief worth your health? Is it worth your future children?
So she tells her to accumulate virtue. Like, be lenient now, and maybe the universe will reward you with a healthy son next time.
It's a brilliant argument. It reframes mercy as self-interest. She's not saying, be nice for the maid's sake. She's saying, be nice for your sake. If you act with compassion, you might save your own life.
And it works.
It works immediately. Feng Ji laughs. She calls Pinger a little hoof, which is an affectionate insult in this context, and says, fine, handle it your way. She just relents completely.
That is incredible. Pinger managed to save the innocent, Willow's wife, save the face of the respected Tanshan, protect the guilty but penitent Kaiyun, and stop her boss from committing torture, all while maintaining the hierarchy.
It's the ultimate victory of soft power over hard power. Feng Ji wanted to use force. Pinger used influence, leverage, and emotional intelligence to get a better outcome.